In this chapter, we're going to start on the foundation of search engine optimization, and that's keyword research. Words are everything. Words are going to be the foundation of everything you do in online marketing. It's key to select the right words, that is, understanding the words that searchers use and developing those into your online marketing strategy. And it's not just the words that have the most popularity or are searched on the most. Many times, it's the hundreds or the thousands of related words can be more important than the singular word that gets a lot of searches. We call that the keyword long tail. We're going to be looking at some research tools that you can use to develop your keyword lists and also manage those keywords as well in finding out how many searches are performed on certain keywords and the trends throughout the year. And then we're going to look at ways that we can organize our keywords so that we can not only manage the keywords better, but we can gain a better understanding of the searcher. As I said, keywords are everything. The words provide us the motivations of the searcher. It gives us trends throughout the year. It's also interesting to see the brand association. What words are used when people search on your brand? That will give you a key insight as to what people think about your company. What type of language do they use? What is the weight of those words that they type in? And then we can also take all of that data that we get and we can use these words in our press releases, our ad buys, our pay-per-click buys, the creative that we use in marketing. We can also use that in analytics. Words are going to be the foundation of everything we do in this course. One particular thing to keep in mind is that search behavior is always based on intent. You see, when people sit down to do a search, they have a need. We want to know what that need is, but not only that, we want to understand what is the emotional weight of that need. There's a couple different ways that people search, and I like to group them into 3 different categories. The first is called the idea searcher, the artillery searcher. I call this the artillery searcher because artillery is designed to cover the greatest amount of land possible, the greatest amount of coverage with the least amount of work. These are people that have an idea. They want to go on a vacation, and so they sit down and they type in vacation. But it's a huge word with a large audience as well as a large selection of options. It's not focused in any area. It's wide open. Now, an alternative to this type of search are people that have been to the doctor and the doctor gave them a diagnosis. And the first thing they did was go to a search engine and type in that word. These are people that it doesn't matter if a website ranks number 2, number 3, number 12, number 25. They're going to look at every single website. They're going to search every single website. They're going to look at all of the information on that site because they want to know everything about it. So the 2 sides of artillery searching is one, just starting out, looking for what's out there. The other wants to know what's out there, but they are going to look everywhere to find the answer to their question. The next is a concept search. Now we're tightening the circle a little bit. These are people that are typically looking for information. For example, they could be searching for a digital camera. But then it always leads to more searches. It leads to searches about reviews. It leads to searches about recommendations. It leads to searches about, well, what are pixels and what do I need to know about them and how many is a good number? You see, the concept search always starts in a targeted area and then leads to additional searches. Someone who wants information about going on a Disney World vacation, well, now they need to look at how am I going to get there, where am I going to stay, where am I going to eat, and how much does it all cost once we start adding up all these things. So that's the concept search. Recognize those people that come to your site for a concept search. Then, the specific searcher, the sharpshooter. These are the ones that know exactly what they want, and if they don't find it, they have the least amount of patience of any searcher that comes to your site. They're looking for an immediate answer, and they want it on your web page, and they will use their back button all the time if they don't see their answer immediately. You see, words are the key. And the motivation of each of these three groups of people, you'll be able to notice that on your site as you define and develop your understanding of keywords. You see, based on how people search, it's going to determine what type of behavior they exhibit. The shotgun searcher, the searcher that leads to more searches, that leads to more information, they want to see related content, related information, the most popular articles. They want to be led into more information. The sharpshooter wants to immediately see their answer, and so your page has to be available to all three types of searchers, giving immediate answers, a logical pathway to more information, and then also for our artillery searchers, knowledgeable information, also relaying them to additional sources. Words are the key, and that's what's going to start our foundation. Since words are the foundation of everything we do, the most important, most common sense principle is to call things what they are. Use the plainest, clearest words to describe your product, your service, or your activity. You can't afford to be mysterious. This is the basis of search engine optimization, understanding the words that our searchers are using and matching what we have to what they want. The better you match the words the searchers are using to the information on your site, the more you're going to create relevancy. So words are associations. People associate specific topics with specific words. And so you want to be clear. Words are also symbols. They stand for additional things. We talked about the different kinds of searchers. Symbolism is very heavy because they will type in a word thinking that they're going to see something, but many times it's confused with other markets or other industries. And so we need to understand what they are searching for when they put words together. And also, when people were searching, brand names aren't usually at the top of their mind. Their need is at the top of the mind. So we need our words and the keywords and our product names to be clear, descriptive, and as universal as possible so that we can match the intent of the searcher. One example that I love to use is this website for the Baby Center store, and one of the products that's on there is a brand name product called Boudreaux's Butt Paste. Now, unfortunately for the name, I've heard it's a very good product, but on this website, you'll notice that the majority of text areas on the site use the term Boudreaux's Butt Paste, which is the branded term. However, only one time on this website does it say diaper rash ointment. You see, a search engine can't see the picture and has a hard time drawing context. So by simply calling something Boudreaux's Butt Paste, the search engine doesn't know that that's diaper rash ointment. And what do you think a searcher is searching for? They're searching for their need. They're searching for diaper rash ointment, and they will not find this page because it's not about diaper rash ointment. The relevancy is very low. The relevancy is very high for the brand name. And when we start doing keyword research, one thing that you are going to see is that people search first based on their need. They search based on what they're looking for at that time. You can see for this search for tennis rackets, there's lots of brand names, but top of mind is my need. This is what I want. Even when we look for digital cameras, people search on brand names, but overwhelmingly they search first based on this is what I need. Also for laptops, people start out with the general word first. The shotgun searcher, they're looking for the concept, and then they realize that they need to refine and develop their words from there. So when we're looking at our sites and evaluating the words that we use, the first thing you need to eliminate is the in-house language, the words that you use in your own industry or in your own company that your customers don't use. So also realize that while people do search for brand eventually, it's not top of mind. You want to be found for the general product term, call it what it is, and then the branded term when people refine their search. You also want to use the customer's words as much as possible. Avoid words that mean the same thing in multiple different ways. For example, something as simple as nested tables can mean one thing to someone searching for furniture and mean something completely different for someone who is trying to code a web page. One example that I can give you is a company that I was visiting, and they were showing me their stump grinders. But in all their marketing information and on their website, they called it a stump cutter. And I asked them, what do the people here in the factory, what do the guys that create this, what do they call it? They said, well, it's a stump grinder. And I said, well, what does your customer call it? It's a stump grinder. Then I had to ask, why do you call it in all of your marketing literature a stump cutter if no one calls it that? Their answer was simple, and it's one that I've heard constantly. We've always done it that way. For 60 years, they've been calling things their own in-house language, their own in-house brand, and it carried over into the marketing, but not drawing the connection that they need to match their customer's language and calling it what it is. So when you call it what it is, the first thing you need to think of is what words would a customer use? What are they searching for? And how can we align our products, our services, what we do to the words they will use? Building on our understanding of keywords, an important principle in the development of your keyword strategy is an understanding of the keyword long tail. Now, the long tail is a fairly simple concept, and once you grasp it, it will be exciting as you research the types of words that people use. The keyword long tail is based on the principle that people don't search the same way. There are trends, there are words that are searched on more than others, but there are always variations in the way people search, and people have specific intent. And we want to align our intent and the intent of the customers to our content. So let's start exploring the different ways people search and how that creates what we call the long tail effect. You see, when people are searching for something like family vacations, and I'm using a keyword tool called keyworddiscovery.com, and what it is I just type in the word family vacations, and it shows me all the related search phrases that include that phrase. So while the majority of people search on that term, once I start looking at all the variations of it, I see that there are a lot of ways that people search. Again, people are searching not the same way. They have different intent and different variations. So we want to start evaluating that. Now, when we look at that keyword list of family vacation, one thing that's vitally important to see is that when I typed in family vacation, to get all of the ways that people use that phrase, there are over 11,000 variations of search phrases that use family vacation as the core word. 11,000 variations. That's what starts our long tail. That means there are 11,000 different ways that people have searched for family vacations. And even if we just choose one, a family beach vacation, we get a whole new list of over 400 ways that people have searched for family beach vacation and all the different ways that they search for it. Once you start going through the list, you can start seeing the intent. Cheap vacations, Myrtle Beach vacations, inclusive vacations. Each one of those phrases carries a completely different intent. And we can start to learn then that we can develop a keyword list that is focused around what our specialty as a business is. The keyword long tail, a couple of things to remember is that bigger is not always better. Just because one word gets searched on more than others does not mean it's the best word. The keyword long tail runs off that 80-20 principle, and maybe you're familiar with that 20% of your effort makes 80% of your result. See, the long tail is completely different. The 80% of our effort brings 80% of our results. Here's a different way of looking at it. Joe Kraus, who used to work at Excite.com, which was a search engine back in the 90s, they noticed that their top 10 search terms were pretty much the same, and they were monstrously larger than every other search term they received. Of course, at the top, back in the 90s, and there's not too much difference today, the top 3 terms that were being searched on were sex, MP3s, and Britney Spears. And so because they were looking at the amount of searches that those terms received, they developed Excite.com to be more of a pop culture portal so that people can easily access what they were interested in. However, years after Excite.com shut down and went out of business, Joe Kraus went back and looked at all of the information and the search distribution. And what he realized is that even though those terms were the most popular, when you add up all of the search words that people searched on, there were over 10 million words. And when you started adding up the numbers, the popular words only made up 3% of the total searches. Those 10 million terms made up 97% of the searches, and Joe realized that they were trying to monetize 3% of their search traffic. We see the same thing in our analytics, and we see the same thing in online marketing, that the 1 to 2 word phrases that are the most popular, they get searched on the most. More descriptive phrases, they aren't searched on as much. They might bring 1, 2, or 3 people to your site every month or every year, depending upon how descriptive it is. Words that are simple, 1 to 2 word phrases that get searched on a lot, they typically don't convert visitors. The words that are more descriptive have more chance of converting visitors. And we'll explore this even further as we go through keyword selection and our analytics. The main reason is because it's a popular word, it's at the beginning of the search cycle. It's at the beginning of the decision cycle. More descriptive phrases are towards the end of the decision cycle, and so people are ready to commit and buy. And even when we look at buying keywords in a pay-per-click format, simple words have the highest cost and the most competition. More descriptive, multiple word phrases, they are low cost and low competition because they become isolated and break apart specific to each business and each market. A different way of looking at this, we worked with one company. Their number 1 search term brought nearly 50% of the visitors to their website. That number 1 search term, while bringing 50% of visitors, accounted for 20% of the conversions. Now, there were over 775 keyword variations of that search term. Those over 770 variations brought in 80% of the conversions to the business. And so because his strategy developed the rest of these keyword variations, instead of focusing just on one term, it made the business more profitable. Another example of another customer, their top 30 terms referred about 3,000 visitors in a month. The next 4,000 unique terms referred over 8,000 visitors. The majority of their sales came from 80% of the words, and that was after the top 30 terms, because these were the words people were using when they were ready to buy. So it's important that you select the right words. And remember, a keyword strategy is not just ranking for one word, it's ranking for hundreds or thousands of words that searchers are using to find what you have. Now that we've been talking about keywords, let's look at where we can get keywords and where we can start building our lists. There are 3 primary keyword tools that I enjoy using. The first is called Keyword Discovery, which is really just a way to start building your list. LinkDex and Raven SEO are both tool sets that offer much more than simply getting keywords. They offer rank checking, link management, as well as website management tools. We'll just be looking at the keyword research abilities of both of those tools in this section. The first keyword research tool that I like going to is keyworddiscovery.com. This tool really just lists the keywords that are related to the concept that you're looking for. It's one of the easiest tools to use because all it really does is help you gather a list, an extensive list of keywords. So if I simply want to look for the term vacations, and you can go between different databases, meaning there are different databases for each country. You can also search eBay, shopping, or simply just Google data to get information from those isolated sources. I like using either the Global Premium or the historical global databases, as they give me the most amount of information. So when I search for the term vacations, what keyword discovery is going to show me are all the keywords that have been used in search queries that use that word as its base. Now, I've got a number of words here that it's showing me, but what's amazing to me is the amount of estimated results. What that means is that there are over 100,000 variations of the search phrase using the word vacations. So as you can see here, as we scroll down, we have Mexico vacations, family vacations, Hawaii vacations. And so as I want to add each of these words to my project, I just simply check the ones that I want. And I can take all of the destination vacations here, or even some of the other words that people are using, and I simply hit add, and those will be added then to my project so that I can come back later and look specifically at that list. Now those are added to my project, and now I can go deeper into some other areas. So if I want to look specifically at Mexico vacations, I would click on that term, and now what keyword discovery is going to do is it's going to look specifically at all of the keywords that have Mexico and vacations in the phrase. And this tells me that I've got almost 2,000 phrases that are related to that. So I have vacations Mexico reversed, vacations in Mexico, Mexico Apple vacations Mexico, all inclusive, Mexico and vacations. So what I'm getting here are all the different ways that people search for Mexico vacations, and then I can drill down into each of the different areas of vacations and learn how people search and start gathering a large list of keywords. Once I have a project together, I can select that project, and I can also export all of those results to a spreadsheet that I can start working with and organizing all of my keywords once I've gathered them. The next keyword tool, and even more than a keyword tool, LinkDex is really a complete website marketing tool. But we're going to look at the keyword settings in LinkDex, because what LinkDex does is that it uses some of the Google database and search engine databases to assist you in finding new keywords to manage. So if I want to search for a new keyword, what it does is it looks for words that are similar and suggests phrases that I might want to use. So I can see here that classic VW Beetles for sale is a keyword that is not in my portfolio right now. I can see that Google is estimating that it gets about 110 searches a month, and the competition is 9 out of 10. So it is relevant. There is a lot of competition for not a lot of searches, but I'm going to go ahead and add that to my project. And I'm also going to look for any other words that would be similar that I want to include in my strategy. And so I'll go ahead and click those. And once they're clicked, they are added into my keyword management tool. If I want to look and see my rankings from LinkDex, I click on the Rankings tab, and then I can go down and see the words that I have. And I can see a quick ranking throughout the past 90 days of which terms have been staying steady, which terms have had some up and down movement, and it's interesting to see how they have returned back to their rankings after a little bit of fluctuation. That's completely normal. That's why I don't put a lot of stock in ranking reports. What I'm interested in seeing is the movement and the competition for specific words. For example, the keyword classic Beetle. I'm ranking number 4. I've gone up since the last rank check. And the page that's ranked, this means that it's the home page. Now, these little icons down here are very helpful because they let me know what else is being shown on the ranking results page. So this number 4 with the square lets me know that there are 4 paid ads for that specific keyword. The camera icon lets me know that there are also image results showing up for that keyword, and a play button means that there are also video results showing. So this lets me know where my site is ranking, but also with blended results, what else is showing on the page. I can also see that I received 88 visits from the search engines, with Google's estimated count of monthly traffic around 630 people searching for that phrase. So it looks like I'm doing fairly well for that phrase with the competition that's there. Now let's go look at Raven SEO tools. And it's very similar the way you develop your keywords from there. You go to the Research tab and to Keywords. Now getting into keywords, I can pull up the project that I already have existing, and I can see the keywords that I've already selected. Now I can go in also and look at related keywords that are being provided to me. Now what Raven is doing also is showing me the cost per click if I were to be bidding on these terms from Google. And I can see the competition index as well as the average search volume. If I want to add these into my project, then I simply click Add, and then I can manage them very similar to LinkDex. This is an overview of just a few of the keyword tools that are available to you to help you build your lists and manage them along with the overall marketing of your website. When building your keyword lists, it's important not only to look at the amount of times keywords are searched on, or simply the larger numbers of keywords that are more popular. It's actually just as important to understand when those keywords are searched on. Many keywords have a timeline. They rise in popularity over the year and they fall off, so it's very important to understand when that happens. Some of the things that affect this and are able to track that, one tool that we're going to cover is Google Trends, showing when the demand for certain keywords increase and decrease throughout the year or throughout the time that you have selected. There's also the decision cycle. People search differently based on what they're looking for and when they're looking for it. And consumer trends. We have to learn that the language people use isn't always predictable. Let's first look at Google Insights for search. This tool allows you to compare specific words. So we're going to compare 4 different phrases: New York hotels, New York City hotels, hotels in New York, and Hotel New York. These are 4 different ways when we start researching the keyword New York hotels, we see many different ways that people are searching. So we can double check our keyword research with Google Insights. Now, of course, this is only giving you Google data. This is not data that's coming from any other search engine. This is just Google providing insights into how people are using Google. We can also set what extent do we want to compare these keywords. We can look specifically at US or other countries and the searches that are made on Google from other countries. We can set the time, so just last year or last month or beyond. And we can also look at specific search categories such as travel, e-commerce, automotive, things like that. Well, the first insight that it gives us is that the phrase Hotel New York is searched on many more times than the rest of the keywords. So comparatively, there is many more searches for that word on Google. However, when we compare over time, we see that each of the terms has a specific trend. It increases in specific times of the year, and it decreases at specific times of the year. And for the last 3 years, we can see that the trend is very similar, so we can predict it. We know that it's going to happen. We know there are going to be more searches at the beginning of the year than at the end of the year. Now, a question about those numbers that we saw. These are simply index numbers. It doesn't mean that it's 74% of searches. It's simply an index that is created by Google based on the amount of searches. You really can't predict how many searches there are for that term. This is just a ratio. So as we can see the peaks and valleys for each term throughout the 3 years, we can now predict what our traffic is going to look like on our website if we gain rankings for those terms. Something else that Insights gives us is a regional insight into each of the words. So we can see that that phrase, New York hotels, is in blue, and so we can see the country list of all the countries that search with that phrase. We can also get a map index of that as well. Each keyword is color-coded, so as you choose that keyword, you can then go down the list, and we can see that Hotel New York is searched on primarily in Ireland, and other countries use that as well, and that's one of the reasons why it is searched on higher than the other keywords. We can also get a sense of related terms, top searches that have those terms in there, and we can also see what's rising in popularity. So this is a great way to add more keywords to your keyword list. One of the things I like showing people is specifically when it comes to holiday trends. Depending upon what type of business you are, this is very important to know. I like looking to see when people start looking for Christmas items, music, lights, cards, ideas. This graph shows me that they start searching as early as late September, early October. And if you're doing anything and selling anything Christmas, you need to have that up and running on your site at least by October, because by mid-December, people stop searching for it. It's powerful to know the trend, because when you can predict the trend, you can take advantage of it. Now let's look at the trend of the decision cycle. You see, the decision cycle shows us that people search differently when they're interested. They use a very general term. Then they start to look for brand names, gathering more information, and researching what people are saying about it. This is when consumer reviews come in very importantly. Then they start to exclude choices based on those reviews, and then they type in a word into the search engine that shows that they're ready to commit. Usually they're using a brand name, a feature, and the specific product, because they're looking for people that are ready to sell it, and they're looking for the best sales deal, whether it's free shipping or the best price or the best support. People search differently based on where they are in this decision cycle. The last thing is the consumer trend of words that people use. For example, in working for a furniture company, we found out that people don't search for furniture using the typical colors that manufacturers or retailers use in their marketing. For example, the difference between a wine-colored sofa and a red-colored sofa. When we did an initial search, we found that when we searched for a wine sofa, there were 5 million other results. When we searched for a red sofa, there were only 3 million results. A big difference. When we did the keyword research, we found that many more people were searching for a red sofa. The wine-colored sofa, there were very few, if any, searching for that. So what this showed us is there are more people searching for a red sofa, and there is less competition of sites trying to rank for red sofa. Whereas for wine sofa, there were many more competitors and less consumers using that word. We double-checked with Google to look at the paid results, and it confirmed what we were seeing, is that for olive, wine, and other colors that were not primary colors, there wasn't even enough data to show how many people were searching for a sofa with that color. What we found is that searchers use primary colors when searching for furniture. Red, green, brown, white, black. They don't use colors such as olive or wine or mauve. And so again, this comes back to calling it what it is, but also researching whenever there's a question about multiple ways or features that you can create your keywords. So be sure not just to build a keyword list, but to understand the trend, to understand which keywords come when in the decision cycle, and also What nuances might your consumers be using when they look for specific products and attributes of those products? Well, we've built keyword lists, we've examined the trends, we've looked at all the different ways that people search, and now we want to start organizing all of these words that we have. One of the ways that I love organizing keywords is using a spreadsheet. So you can export all of the keyword data that you've built in whatever software you have chosen to build your lists. And one of the things that's very important to do is measure the competition and the opportunity. How many other people are searching for that word? How many other sites are competing for that word? And can you find some opportunities? One of the ways that really gives me insight, though, into the way people search is to organize my keywords by what words precede my key phrase and what words come after my key phrase. That really helps me understand the intent of the searcher, the words that they use, but more importantly, the pattern that they use to search with. Because even if I don't have any data, I can still put together a keyword phrase based on the pattern. Also, something that's important to do is identify plural and singular versions of words and compare them separately. Don't compare them the same, compare them separately, because one thing you will learn as you do more and more with keywords, a plural version and a singular version show different intent. So first, competition and opportunity. Number one, how many searches are there? How popular is that keyword? How many competitors are there? And that's one of the reasons why some of the keyword tools will also show how much it would cost if you were to bid on that keyword. That gives you a good idea as to the value of what other people are paying for it. It can also give you a good value in your reporting that when you start ranking for a word and attracting business to your site for that word, it can show you an idea of how much you're saving by ranking for the word rather than paying for it. It's always good also to assign a difficulty level. Which words do you think will be easy to rank for? Which words are going to be very difficult to rank for? And again, it's always very important to understand when the trend applies. So this is where we start in our spreadsheet. Just like we went through, the keyword in the left column, the number of results that Google or Bing or any other search engine will show, the number of monthly searches that are estimated, the average cost per click. What type of keyword is it? Can you identify? Is it early stage buying cycle? Is it a trending keyword? Is it a late stage buying cycle? Singular, plural? Assign a keyword type that is consistent with your type of business and the type of searcher that you're going after. A difficulty level, maybe even score it 1 through 10, 1 being a primary keyword that is highly desirable that we want to rank for, and 10 being a low productive keyword. And then also be sure to identify the trend. When is the peak season for that keyword? Organizing your keywords by prefix and suffix is a great way of understanding how people search. Patterns are important. Understanding similar concepts that people use, understanding the structure of how they put together their keyword phrase when they type it into a search engine. You can learn so much insight as to how people search, and you can understand different variations and the differences people use. And you can use those then in optimizing your website and applying more terms, more concepts that will enable you to rank for those long tail phrases that can bring more business to your website. Here's how we work. So in the middle is our keyword phrase, New York hotels, with the attribute of also the search being 5-star hotels. So it's a 6-word keyword phrase in the center. Words that come before New York hotels are on the left. Words that came after New York hotels are on the right. So what we can derive from this is on the right side, people are much more specific about where their hotels are located. We can see things such as New York, Manhattan, Niagara Falls, Hamptons, New York City, Soho. So the right side shows us that people are specifically looking for the location after they type in New York hotels. Prior to New York hotels, we see 5-star, reviewed, the best, luxury, menu, the best. So we can get a sense of now how people construct their keyword phrase. So even if we don't have keywords that fully describe the content that we might have on a page, we can use this pattern and apply the pattern into our keyword optimization. Here's another example for the word market. On the left side, the words that typically precede the word market: housing market, world, stock, compare, emerging, job, mortgage. It's the descriptive of what kind of market people want. In the suffix are, what are they looking for? Research, reports, analysis, investing, and advice. So we have the what preceding the keyword and then the why. Again, we can build a pattern, and regardless of whether or not we have keywords, we've got the pattern. This is the list that I'll give to an editor or to a writer on a website and show them this is how people are searching for the information on your site. The better you match that in your headlines and subheadings and in your articles, the more people will come and read your articles. And editors tend to respond to this because now they understand the words that people are using. Even when we look at the word invest, we can see a similar pattern. What are people looking to invest in? And then the why. Banking, strategy, property, analyst. It's really amazing to get a sense of how people are searching. And for a fun one like sugar, we can see that diabetes is the top search. Sugar-free is the top search. It's got a lot of searches on it, but one thing we noticed is that sugar-free is really only trending at the end of the year. Through the majority of the year, the biggest searches for sugar are brown sugar and sugar diabetes. But you can get a sense of how people are searching, what they're searching for, and you can construct your optimization to mirror what you're seeing here. The next thing is to organize by the searcher's intent. You include the seasonal demand, any regional differences, preferences in words, because different parts of the country also have different words for the same products. So you want to take that into account. So this is the beginning of your content calendar. You can get a sense of when keywords are rising or falling through specific months. Look at your keyword list, look at the trends, and put them all together so that you can see what's happening and when you can predict variances in your visitors. Also, look at any social trends or regional differences. Social trends include anything from social media, when you know that you get more traffic from your social media sites because of a specific trend or subject or date, and also any regional differences using Google Insights. When are people searching for certain words? Again, using Google Insights, and we'll look for family vacations. We can see a dramatic trend for family vacation and family vacations. There's a difference with singular and plural. And then also we can see the other vacation terms. Usually what I'll do is take out the top level terms when I see that much of a disparity and look at the rest of them to get an idea and see more of the volatility in the trend lines. So for each of these words, they're all performing about the same way. There's a lot of volatility in the trends. And one of the things that jumps out is that we can see that inclusive spiked more than any other keyword early in 2010, and it has continued to be higher than the other keywords throughout the rest of the years following that. So we can look at our keyword trend, we can look at the consumer trend in the preference for that word, and then we can also look at the regional trend. And we can see for the term family vacation, for this map, the darker states are the ones that are searching on that term by index more than other states. And what we see is the Midwest searches more on the term family vacation than other parts of the country. Same thing when we look at family vacation ideas. The Midwest searches more on that term by index than other states around there. So when we're managing the keywords, the tools I'm showing you are really guides. The spreadsheets are an idea for you to use. The assets are here in the program. You can use the spreadsheets provided in this course, but they're only meant as a way for you to customize and develop so that they are specific to you and your business. Don't be afraid to change it. Make it work for you.